it do? What it do? What it do? Hello and welcome to another episode of Run the Receipts. I am your host, Mr. Receipts. Thank y'all for tuning in today. We are going to look at a video from Vox Populi titled, "Are Crazy Women Destroying the West?" This is going into the evolution of women being in the workforce. And she's going to talk about how it was in the beginning before women had to work and what it looks like today and how women are viewed from the past up until now. So let's go ahead and take a look at this video and then we'll do some commentary on it.
Are crazy women destroying the West? We are forever reading headlines about the mental health crisis in the West. We're told that we're becoming more and more unhappy and more crazy. In many Western countries, mental illness is now the leading cause of disability and responsible for 30 to 40% of chronic sick leave, costing us around 4 to 5% in GDP.
So she said it's up 30 to 40%, mental health issues. That has to show somewhere. And what I mean by that is these same people that have these mental health issues, they still have to go to work. They still have to go to college. They still go to your grocery stores. They still go to the gym. You see them, throughout society. You're not just going to be mentally ill and, going through depression, going through anger, going through sadness, going through whatever wave of emotions that you have. You still have to operate in society. The thing about it is, in comparison, and this is as a whole, men are kind of used to that. We've always been told that you just got to pull up your bootstraps and you got to go to work and you got to make a living and you got to be able to provide. So your feelings are kind of obsolete. You just have to go ahead and do it anyway. But in the terms of a woman, you guys were being protected. So anytime you were feeling, any type of wave of emotions, you had a hedge around you that would protect you from these emotions, because we understood, okay, as a man, let me take on that charge and that responsibility and I'll protect you, and you just stay in the background, and here's a list of things that you can do that'll be far less stressful, far less worrisome, things of that nature. That's what we tried to provide. But women were like, nah, I want to go out there and I want to work. I want to be equal. I want to go out there and I see what you're doing. I can do it too. So there were some men that was idiotic. I'm just going to call it what it is, that opened the door. And once they open that door and now they can't close it, we're starting to see the results of allowing, first, let me say this, by taking the protection away and then allowing you to function as men have had to function since the beginning of time. And now it's backfired. So let's continue.
But who are all these sad and mad people? Well, mostly they're women. Women are 3 times more likely to experience mental health problems than men. And they are twice as likely to be diagnosed with anxiety and depression than men. And this situation isn't improving, it's getting worse. Rates of self-harm among females have tripled in the last 30 years, and rates of suicidality have doubled. But hang on, I thought we had so much more mental health awareness now. The well-being industry is booming. This is the era of emotions and self-care. Aren't we all opening up about how we feel?
And you heard what she said. This is the age of self-care. I just wanted to bring that out because I never hear men use that. I never hear men use that term, self-care. I always hear women, whenever they feel overwhelmed or whenever they get out of a relationship, they always use that term, self-care. But self-care is selfish. And the reason why I'm saying that is, if now you want to be equal to men and now you want to go out in the workforce and now you want to go out and do exactly what we do, there's no such thing as self-care. You got too many other things to worry about. You have your wife to worry about. You have your children to worry about. You may have some, your parents that you're taking care of. You obviously you got your bills that you got to worry about. I don't have time to do no self-care. So how is it that you want to be equal to men? You want to do everything that men does. You want to be able to go and do everything that men do and have to do in society. But then all of a sudden when the going gets tough, you want to time out and you want to do self-care. Meanwhile, we still out there working. We still out there going. And the only time we really do quote unquote self-care is when the wife wants to take, a vacation, because she's tired of doing whatever the case may be. And now she wants to take the family on a vacation. So then we'll have to even double the time that we spend at work to save up that money in order to do quote unquote self-care for the family, to make sure the wife recharges. But for men, we don't think about no self-care. That's a woman thing. I've never heard not a single man in all the days of my life ever use that word. Let's continue.
Or opening up about how we feel, going to therapy and working on ourselves. Well, yes, but that may be part of the problem. 70 to 80% of psychologists and therapists are also women. Given that 1 in 3 women will take antidepressants in their lifetime, how many of these female therapists are also depressed?
And that's an excellent point. It showed on there like 76% of psychiatrists are women. And she's telling you that those same women are dealing with depression, anxiety, anger, being overwhelmed, frustrated, so on and so forth. You don't think that travels to your job? You don't think that even if she's a psychiatrist, you don't think that she's going to view things more from a woman's standpoint than a man's? I have a video that I actually need to do that video. But there's a woman who is a psychiatrist, and she was taught by other psychiatrists to never listen to women, whether it be a woman psychiatrist or whether it be the wives that come in there and complain about, their husbands. She says that they're being taught now not to follow those old rules and old guidelines because they now understand how women can be. And you may see that as unfair, but we got to stop looking at things as if it's not reality. And everybody sees or knows about the elephant that's in the room, but no one wants to talk about it because we want to cater to feelings and, emotions and needs and so on and so forth, instead of addressing it to what it really is. And that's why I said in the beginning, we try to protect the women so they don't have to go through the same things that men would have experienced being out in the world. But men were looked at as, misogynist or patriarchy, so on and so forth. Those words were thrown at us. And so now we sat back and we allowed women to infiltrate what's going on and had all society change up for them. And now look at the result of that. And like she said, so now you got women in the workforce that are experiencing the same thing, like teachers or psychiatrists and so on and so forth, that are out here, and you don't think that they're dealing with the same problems that we were trying to protect y'all from? No, that's why it's now 76%. Let's continue.
Antidepressants in their lifetime. How many of these female therapists are also depressed and anxious? So we likely have many depressed women seeking treatment from depressed women therapists, and surprisingly, women's mental health is getting worse. So
how's that? So she said you got women who are depressed going to depressed psychiatrists who are obviously going through things as well. And then you getting advice from them. And not only is the patient on medication, but the psychiatrist is on the same medication that she's subscribing the patient. That's wild.
So why are women so mentally unwell in the first place? Well, as Jordan Peterson and others rightly point out, it's because women are temperamentally higher in trait neuroticism than men. They're more prone to negative thinking and they're more emotional.
So let me address that real quick. The word is neuroticism. Let me read some things about neuroticism. It says neuroticism is a personality trait that involves a tendency to experience negative emotions such as anxiety, fear, and anger. It's one of the big 5 personality traits. It also says that you can become overly worried or upset in response to stress, overreact to potentially threatening situations, become overwhelmed by minor frustrations or problems, be overly critical of themselves or their work, have an outsized reaction to a minor problem. So those who are in a small number of women to be like, I'm not like that, the majority of women are, and you know that be the case. Let's continue.
And then more emotional. Okay, I know I'm stating the obvious, but why else? Why are they becoming more mentally unwell? And what's been happening in the Western world in, say, the last 50 years or so? Well, for a start, the amount of women in full-time work has increased by over 50%. Similarly, the amount of women who are unmarried and single over the age of 30 has increased from 18% to a whopping 54% in the last 30 years.
Wow. So women have went from being married to the majority of them, and right here it says 54.7% are now single. Well, what it used to be is women at a younger age used to get married and have families, and that became their life. That was their livelihood, was to take care of their husband and the children, things around the house. If the husband had them to do things outside of the house, he would even guide that. He would tell her, hey, go to the grocery store, pick up the things you need. Okay, here's a list of other things that you can get done, and these are things that you can get done for myself and the children. So she had structure. So now that's been taken away, and now women are out there on their own trying to find their way, and family is no longer a part of it. So now they have the mindset of doing everything by themselves and not having a family, but that goes against nature. That's contrary to everything that women are supposed to be. And I just want women to understand that, yeah, you could go to work and go to college and try to live your best life, and I don't need a husband and I don't need no man, and some of y'all end up having children along the way, so you did need a man. But the fact of the matter is, being on your own, especially by the time you get in your 30s, that's against nature. Nature is always going to tell you and remind you that a man is part of the purpose in your life. Children is part of the purpose in your life if God allows you to have children. But no one is meant to be alone. What you got to understand is there's a certain way going about it. And being in the workforce is only going to make you a little bit more manly than you should be. And I won't even say a little bit more, because now that you by yourself, you're going to have to survive and move around like a man. And that's what we was trying to protect you from. So now half the women that are around and that are existing right now and is walking around are living their best life and they on their own. That's not how it's supposed to be.
A whopping 54% in the last 30 years. And it is estimated that almost half of all women aged between 25 and 44 will be single by 2030.
And that's the other part of it. So now it says 45% of women estimated to be single and childless. All those are against nature. So for you not to have a husband and not have children, when that's what you were created to do, no more than what men were created to do. Like, a man could never say that, we don't want to be men anymore and we want to do something different. First off, there's nothing different for us to do, because we go out there and we build a society. When you look out your window, everything that you see out there has come from a man, because that's what we've been created to do. That is what's in our nature to do. The buildings that you see outside, the cars that you drive, when you go to the grocery store, you see all the food that's been put in the markets, to the jobs that have been created. That is in our nature. The only person that's going against nature for the most part are women. And that's why I'm saying, women going against their nature, now you see that they're unhappy. You're saying that them being without a husband and without children is not serving their purpose, and they're no longer happy in society. And she just told you, you got the therapists that are taking prescription pills just like you have the patients that are coming in. We're trying to get y'all to realize these things, but you know, you want your freedom and you want to be allowed to move like men and all that, and society's going to give it to you. If that's what you want, that's fair. You can have it, but understand, going against nature, there are repercussions. So let me know what you guys think. Do not forget to comment, like, subscribe. I appreciate every last one of you. And until next time, deuces.